guys, we're back talking some more Moon Knight on the channel with the 6th and final episode. It's finally time to talk about the finale. Before I get into talking about the finale though, make sure you share your thoughts down below because I'm excited to hear your guys' thoughts about the finale, and I'm sure the discussion down below is going to be very entertaining. Last week's episode was a great one as we explored more of Mark's traumatic past, but the trauma aspect was very hard-hitting, and I was excited to see where we would go with the story, even if Steven might potentially not be there because of that heartbreaker at the end where it looked like Steven may have died in some shape or form. Nevertheless, we did set up the showdown between Moon Knight and Harrow for this finale. Much like a lot of these MCU Disney Plus show finales, I feel like this one also is going to divide people. I'm personally on the side that I overall quite enjoyed the episode. There are some flaws that I will inevitably end up getting to as we talk about the episode, but it was very interesting the way that we weave all the storylines together as they inevitably converge. Much like in every big finale episode, we have set up the big final battle between our hero and our villain. Overall, I do think the setup here was quite solid. Despite the episode's runtime being on the shorter side, there wasn't really a ton of stuff to really set up for this finale. We already know that Harrow was finally getting his mission done to become the avatar of Ammit, and that's exactly what happens as we do try to resurrect Mark. I suppose I kind of underestimated Harrow's power because we didn't really see him use it all that much throughout the series, but even before he becomes the avatar to Ammit, he's very powerful. We see him take out the police, we see him take out the gods. I think he probably should have shown those powers a bit more as the main antagonist of Moon Knight, but it was pretty badass in this episode. You know, this show has been one of the more emotional MCU shows, and just like any good show, you gotta have one big last emotional gut punch here. Actually, I guess two in this case. Seeing Layla weep over Mark's dead body as she goes off on the mission to try and save Khonshu so we can bring Mark back to life for the finale. I certainly didn't expect that Tawret would try and talk to Layla through the dead bodies after all the stuff going down with Harrow. Their relationship is pretty fun, even though it is quite brief because it's all self-contained in this one episode. It does make me wish we got a little bit more between those two characters. I don't know about you guys, but I got a little bit choked up when we get back to Mark and he's in the Field of Reeds and he's talking to Tawret, and Tawret gives that confirmation that Steven is gone. Like, emotional gut punch, because Steven's been such a fun character in the show so far, but he's not gonna let him go. He's not gonna let him die out there. He actually goes back, says screw the field, and goes back to that, I guess, frozen sand corpse, or whatever you'd want to call it. As has been the case pretty much this entire season, Oscar Isaac delivers some fantastic dialogue to himself, and it's just very emotional because of the fact that he tells Steven that he's the only superpower he ever had, and it seems like they're both just gonna go die out there. Of course they're not gonna die out there. I mean, that would be a very anticlimactic, horrible finale if we end the show with Harrow winning. It was great to see some more Moon Knight action finally. I know that's been one of the big criticisms, that there's really not a lot of him in the costume in the show. I was perfectly okay with it, but I know that's been like a major criticism, and we get a fair amount of it, especially in the tail end of this episode. If you watched my previous reviews of Moon Knight, you would know that I've been speculating to some degree that Layla was going to get a superhero power, a superhero costume of some sort. I was a little bit wrong. I thought maybe the Scarlet Scarab, because that seemed like what we were teasing, but she does get some cool powers in a new costume when Tawret, you know, kind of borrows her body to become an avatar. Whether it's just a one-time thing or not, I still think it's a pretty cool costume, the way that it's structured, and it's also got some fun Falcon-like wings. The big battle itself in the episode, the big final battle where everyone's involved, Mr. Knight, Moon Knight, Layla, Harrow, Khonshu, Ammit. It's a pretty big battle. I mean, there are parts of it that I think are very enjoyable. I mean, how can you not like big superhero action at this point? One of my favorite aspects is how we keep changing between Moon Knight and Mr. Knight throughout the course of the battle. I think that is a very fun change to kind of show that Steven is also fighting along with Mark. Also, as a big kaiju fan, how can I not mention the fact that they are giant? Khonshu and Ammit, they're fighting up against the pyramid. It was awesome. It reminded me about like Godzilla versus Kong. I was having quite a great time watching this final battle as everything ensued, and it looked like Harrow was going to have the upper hand. I'm kind of indifferent on how I feel about the fact that it seems like he has the upper hand, and then Mark's eyes roll back, and then the fight just ends pretty much. It isn't like it's the first time or anything that this has happened in the show. We've seen it teased a couple times. There was another personality doing other things, but not in the final battle. I want to see the final battle ensue and not have blackout moments. But other than that, I think it was a fun fight all around. It did feel a little bit rushed at times, but especially that ending. With the way that we wrap up things at the end, with it seeming like Khonshu has freed Mark and Steven from their bond, and the fact that he didn't kill Harrow, it seemed like we were setting up for like a series finale. But if you watch the post-credit scene, the mid-credit scene, whichever term you want to use, we finally get the big tease. We see Harrow getting put into a limo that has Khonshu Khonshu, and then Khonshu introduces Jake Lockley. It feels like it's been a lifetime waiting to see Jake Lockley appear in the show. I'm kind of indifferent on him being like the big tease, I guess, going into season 2 with the way that we're setting up Moon Knight and now that Jake Lockley is in the picture. But either way, as a fan of the Moon Knight comic, it was cool to see Jake Lockley finally appear after all the different teases throughout the season. We all knew he was going to show up at some point. Season 2, we're definitely going to get some more stuff with Jake Lockley. I mean, that's very obvious. He's a much more violent personality. I'm intrigued to see how we're going to see them clash in season 2. That's what I'm hoping for, just to see how they clash with one another, introduce more about how Jake Lockley has, you know, his origin story, how Mark created that altar there. But either way, this finale as a whole, there are parts where it does feel kind of rushed. It does fall into that Marvel formula that we're used to with these finales in the shows. But I overall liked it. I think it was a solid finale, other than a few little tidbits, nitpicks here and there. Make sure you share your thoughts down below. What did you think of the finale for Moon Knight? Do you like the finale, not like the finale? Share all your thoughts down below, or thoughts or theories you may have for a potential season 2. Either way, thank you guys so much for checking out the videos. I do appreciate that. Make sure to like on the video. Also, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, so update restrictions, unboxings, and more. For the next time, I'll see you guys later.